Markell was telling us, was reminding me of Andy Lipstone worked with his administration and kind of was a leader of the, from his administration's behalf, kind of led the effort and worked with our team here at State Planning and the SHA team. And, version of the first question is really, what did you envision when we started this program, when you started this program?
Well, Delaware just has such great bones, and we had some downtown areas in all three counties, really all across the state, that I thought were not everything that they could be. And I wanted to figure out a way to bring more private investment into it. So I asked Andy Lipstone, who was the legal counsel in our office, to look around the country and see if he could come up with a model that he thought might be best in terms of figuring out how do you leverage a small amount of public money to bring in a lot of private money. And that's what he did. Andy did a fantastic job, worked really closely with the DSHA team, and that was really the beginning of the downtown development districts.
So, Ambassador, let me follow up with you because, again, we're celebrating our 10th anniversary of DDD. So did the program meet your expectations or accomplishments? What were you envisioning, and did it meet your expectations?
Well, it was really exciting to launch the program and to see immediately the interest from developers, homeowners, and others, and then to see the kind of progress that it's made over the years, I think is really a tribute to all of you and to the sort of the fundamental underpinnings of the program. So my goals, frankly, were not that complicated. I just wanted to see more investment in these downtown areas across the state of Delaware, so that more people would live there, more people would, eat meals there. There would be more opportunities to enjoy, and that's exactly what we've seen. And so I got to visit many of them while I was governor, and now to see the kinds of progress that has been made since then is just really exciting. And so I think it's a great example of a program. You say, let's put as little public money into it as possible, so long as it attracts a lot of private money. And that's essentially what has happened. And we see the benefit now of that in downtowns across the state of Delaware.
Absolutely. It's interesting how often DDD, your legacy, comes up as a great model for that public-private partnership. So pretty cool. Can I ask you this question? I agree with you. Great strengths with the program. What did you see were the biggest challenges, and how the program overcame any of those challenges?
Well, one of the things that I remember is that we, it was pretty rare, and if ever, that the best idea will start in the governor's office, and you generally come up with the best ideas by talking to a lot of people out in the field. And one of the things that we learned is that it wasn't just about the money. From the perspective of the developers, they also wanted to see certainty and predictability and speed in their applications to invest and start construction and the like. And so one of the things that we looked at was for commitments from the towns to say, okay, if this part of the town is in this downtown development district, we're going to commit to get rid of some of the red tape. We're going to commit to move the process along faster. And I think that's exactly what we saw. So as always, if you go into these ideas with some humility and you recognize that you don't have all the right answers, but talk to the people in the towns, talk to the developers themselves, the homeowners, make the program as inclusive as possible, then you're more likely to get a good answer.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the many things Delaware does really great is our partnerships, and we are truly greater than the sum of our parts. It's awesome to see here in Delaware, and definitely with the state planning coordination group with Dave. So thank you for that. So can I ask a follow-up question? Again, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of DDD, but going forward, what do you see your hope for the DDD program?
Look, I just want to see more and more people enjoy these fantastic downtowns throughout the state of Delaware. It's really that simple. And so when we see people who are going in who might not otherwise have gone in because there wasn't a new restaurant, there wasn't a new apartment building or condos or houses that people feel comfortable and safe in. When we see people taking advantage of all those kinds of things, then we know we've won. And I cannot thank Dave enough. It's amazing to me. He's been working on this now for 10 years. And of course, the work that we did with the NOS at the time and the SHA team. And so, successful programs tend to have a lot of people who are behind it and who are responsible for it. And in this case, certainly, as I mentioned earlier, Andy Lipstone deserves a lot of credit, as does Dave and Anas and so many other people at state planning, DSHA, the developers, and for that matter, the mayors and the town council people throughout the state too.
Now, Master, my follow-up question for you is: I know you've been out of the state and out of the country for a little while now, doing some other service, but now that we're 10 years in, has there been any of the projects or the progress that surprised you a little bit about how things have gone in some of our communities?
Well, this is the beauty, I think, of not having a specific expectation and sort of going into it with humility. The people who are putting these funds to use, the people in the towns coming up with the rules, they are so much more creative about these kinds of projects than I ever would be. And so every time I see one of these projects, I sort of marvel at it and say, wow, it's amazing that they've been able to pull that off. It's exciting that they are only able to pull it off because of this extra little bit of help. But one of the things that did surprise me is I talked to so many developers over the years who said, the public money that went in, it's not a ton of money, but frankly, it was the difference between doing a project and a project. And so for me, I'm not a developer, but for me to hear that over and over and over again was just, it was a great validation of the program.
You're giving us advice for this next 10 years, and we've just had the three first districts have done their renewals. So we have a 10-year program. We'll renew it for 5 years at a time. Dover, Seaford, and Wilmington have just renewed and are going to that next phase of redevelopment. What would your advice be to us for the program and the challenges we think we'll face in this next 10-year period?
My experience is that if programs like this continue to get an investment year after year after year, and the developers and the town people know that it's quite likely to come if they perform, that's a much better way to go than to go in. We're going to do it this year. We're not going to do it next year, because then frankly, people move on. And I think it's important, for example, to let new legislators bring them around to the project so that they see the value. Make sure that folks in the towns have a chance to show off their projects to policymakers from throughout the state. These programs, we know that there's lots of demands on the budget, and so if you think that these investments are really paying off and improving the quality of life and bringing a financial return, make sure you tell that story, because people aren't going to know about it otherwise. It just, you can't just expect that people are going to know. You have to tell the story, which is why I think it's great that you're doing this 10-year anniversary program.
Agreed. Thank you. Great advice. Consistency.
Yes. We were actually just down in Milford, I guess 2 weeks ago now, for a ribbon cutting. And it's amazing the community that came out, from elected officials, the public, all the customers of the new, actually it was a new laundromat. This is their second location too. They have a location in Georgetown and now a location in Milford. But it was fantastic to see the community come together. And this location, this laundromat, is such a community hub. They actually bring in residents to read and to do other life skills. So it's amazing that the DDD made that happen. And above the laundromat are affordable housing units. So really bringing that mission together for Delaware State Housing and all the great partners that come together to make this work. So really is the magic behind the scenes.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, it really is. amazing to see like all these great accomplishments from small business owners to our developers and everybody in between, from home ownership to businesses and restaurants. So as Dave said, this is the 10th anniversary, but what do you see? What could you imagine, or what do you dream when we look 10 years in the future? Like, what do you expect for DDD from here?
I want to see it continue year after year after year, because we know that these downtown areas can add so much. You think about the issue of sprawl, which is an issue not only in Delaware, but frankly around the country. And the downtown development districts are one of the best tools we have to limit sprawl, because when developers decide to build in a downtown area where the infrastructure already exists, the roads, the restaurants, everything else, people want to be in those places. And that's so much better than, taking a green space where you have to build all the new infrastructure. So let's, I think, recognize the value, not only right there, but think about what is avoided by not having to go outside elsewhere and build in these green spaces. So I would love to see it continue. I want to see more and more Delawareans enjoy these downtown areas, more tourists enjoy the downtown areas. I always believed so much when I was governor that we're in a war for talent, because to build the economy of the future, we have to be able to recruit entrepreneurs and people with talent, and the best way to do that is to have places where they want to recreate, where they want to live, where they want to enjoy. And this is a fantastic opportunity to do that.
Thank you for that answer, especially about the sprawl component. I mean, I think that's a big part of what our overall state strategies are all about. And the DDD is a very powerful tool and an amazing example that we show people again and again about how much development and vitality can happen in our downtown areas, because people seem to think, that's already built out, and it's really not. We can do right. So much more. And thank you for your leadership in getting us to this point.
Thank
for
you.
Starting us towards this point.
It's a relay, you get it started, you hand it over to the next folks and next folks and next folks, and so it's exciting to me that we're now come January going to be the second gubernatorial administration after mine, and just imagine what they can do with it.
The only thing I wanted to add, and again, Ambassador, thank you for, and David just mentioned this, your leadership on the DDD and other things too, but this legacy, this DDD really continues to give back to Delaware. And I just want to thank you for your leadership and all the support of those behind the scene. I know you mentioned, there's agencies working behind the scene. There were great people in the governor's office working behind the scenes. The support of the General Assembly to fund this great program each year. That's really where some of that hard work and magic is happening. And sometimes we don't get to see their faces, but I just want to thank you for recognizing them as well.
Well, thanks. And no, you're absolutely right. I mean, without the General Assembly and this relatively limited amount of public funding, the rest of the investment would not happen. So, but again, the credit really goes to the folks in the towns who are figuring out how to put this to use, the developers, your teams, for sure. And that's how good things happen. When you make sure that the credit gets shared, and you show your appreciation to all of the people working on it, you're more likely to have some success, and that's certainly true here.
I think that's great advice for DDD, but for leadership and service. It's great advice for service overall. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for spending the time with us today. This was really really great to just debrief with you about all things DDD and kind of look towards the future. And I hope your lessons can lead us forward.